Hello, this is Mr. Chabry, and today we're actually going to look at the rock and ground types found within Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. We're going to actually combine these two types here, because there's a lot of rock and ground types found within Kanto. So, looking at it, it would make a lot of sense to just put them together and go through the different Pokemon of these types, so I don't have to keep repeating Pokemon. And we're actually going to start off with Gollum. So Gollum is a rock ground type Pokemon. And this thing is a very nicely defensive Pokemon. It's got 130 defense, which is really nice. And it's got 120 attack, so it can hit pretty well, too. Its main drawback is it's very slow. 45 speed's not very fast. And 65 special defense is really bad, especially if you have a Pokemon that is quad weak to water and grass. So Golem's not really going to take hits from that typing very well. But this thing is a very bulky Pokemon. It can hit really hard. It could work on a team. So we have to look at a Lowland Golem here. A Lowland Golem is a rock and electric type Pokemon. Stat-wise, it's exact same stats as the normal Golem. So the only difference is it trades that ground typing with electric typing. If you want to use a slow electric type, this would be the one that you could go to. It's got 120 attack, 130 defense, just like, normal Golem. So I think this one could work on teams just as well as the other Golem. It comes down to whether you want a ground type or an electric type. So the next Pokemon we'll look at is Onyx. Onyx is also a rock and ground type Pokemon, and this thing is most well known for being Brock's ace Pokemon. So Onyx is a very nice defensive Pokemon. It's got 160 defense. The main drawback though is it's only got 35 HP, so even with that really high defense, it's not going to be the best Pokemon to take hits, especially from that special side, because its special defense stat is only 45, so that is really low. It does have a decent speed stat as 70 though, but it's also very weak on the offensive side too. It's only got 45 attack, so it's not going to do that much damage to anything. So honestly, I would skip Onyx, because, it does have really good defense, but it's not going to give any offensive pressure for you. And this is a Pokemon that actually got an evolution later on, as in Steelix, and Steelix is way better than Onyx. Onyx is just kind of a letdown. This big giant rock snake, you would expect it to have more attacking power, but it has the same attacking power as Butterfree, to put it in perspective. So next up we have Rhydon, and Rhydon's actually a very good Pokemon. It's got 105 HP and 120 defense, so it's a very bulky Pokemon on that physical side. Plus it has 130 attack. That is very high. It's actually the highest rock and ground type other than, Mega Aerodactyl, but that's a Mega. So this thing is a very, very hard-hitting Pokemon. Its main drawback, however, is its speed is only 40, so this thing's very slow. And its special defense is only 45, so a water or grass type move is going to completely destroy your Rhydon. But if you need a physical attacker that's pretty physically bulky as well, and you don't really mind having a slower Pokemon, Rhydon could fill that role pretty well. So now we're going to look at Pokemon that are rock types that are not ground types. And the first one's going to be Omastar. So Omastar is a really good defensive Pokemon if you need one, and it does have really good special attack at 115. Problem is it's very slow with 55 speed, so it's not going to be the fastest thing. And it's only got 70 special defense, so this thing is not going to take a grass type move at all, and I would probably skip using it unless you really want to try it out. You could probably make it work, but I would skip it. So now we're going to look at the other fossil Pokemon, Kabutops. And Kabutops is also a rock and water type Pokemon, and it's got 115 attack, which is actually a really good attack stat. And it's got 105 defense, which is a pretty good defense stat. This thing is actually faster than Omastar with an 80 speed, so that's actually a decent speed stat. I would say Kabutops is a better pick than Omastar, but it's still not going to outspeed a lot of things, and it's only got a 70 special defense stat as well, so it's not going to take hits very well. But if you bring this thing, keep in mind that physical attacks are really good for Kabutops. So now we're going to look at the last rock type found within this game, and that is going to be Aerodactyl. So Aerodactyl is a really good Pokemon. This thing is very fast with a 130 speed. That is fast enough to speed tie with Jolteon. And this thing has good attack as well with 105. So this thing can hit hard and it's very fast. But we also have to mention that this thing has a Mega. And Mega Aerodactyl is also a really good Pokemon. This thing has 150 speed, so that is a speed stat up there with Electrode. And it's got 135 attack, which is actually the highest attack stat of all the rock types. So Mega Aerodactyl is a very good Pokemon. That thing hits hard, it is fast, it's going to outspeed a lot of things. I do think Aerodactyl would be a very good addition to any team. So now we're just going to look at the Pokemon that are ground types, and the first one on our list is going to be Sandslash. So Sandslash is a pretty bulky Pokemon with 110 defense. 75 HP is pretty good too, with a 110 defense. The main drawback is that 55 special defense, so it's not going to take special hits pretty well, but it's got a 100 attack, so I could see this thing working on a team if you want to try it out. Earthquake is a really good move for your ground type, so I would very much advise putting Earthquake on your Sandslash. Sandslash, it could work. Next up is Nidoking. So Nidoking's actually a pretty interesting Pokemon. It has the ground and poison typing, and its best thing is that it's kind of bulky. It's got a 90 HP, which is pretty good, and it's got 87, 85 defense, special defense, respectively. But its best stat is actually its attack stat at 92. And the big drawback is without abilities, you're not going to have sheer force to boost its special attacks. So Nidoking's not going to be a special attacker if you use it. It's going to be a physical attacker. I do think this thing's pretty decent on teams, but we have to also mention Nidoking. So Nidoking is almost like Nidoqueen, the same typing, ground, poison, only it's a more offensive version of Nidoqueen. It's got 102 attack, which is actually pretty good, 85 speed, so it is faster, but it's also got less bulk, 81 HP, 77 defense, 75 special defense. So out of these two, I've already said this before, I like a faster Pokemon that can hit hard. So if you decide to use a Nido Pokemon on your team, Nidoqueen's the more bulkier choice. Nidoking does more damage, so I would probably go with Nidoking. And unfortunately, sheer force, like I already said, it's not going to be here. It's going to have to be a physical attacker, even though Nidoking has a really wide array of special attacks it can learn. But that 85 special attacks, it's passable, but 102 attack is what you're wanting to dip into with a Nidoking. Next up is Dugtrio, and Dugtrio is a pure ground-type Pokemon that's best known for a 120 speed. That is a really good speed stat. It's got 100 attack as well, so you could do some damage. Its main drawback, it's very frail, 50 defense, 35 HP, 70 special defense. This thing is not going to take hits. If you need a fast Pokemon, Dugtrio could do it, but keep in mind this thing's not going to take hits. And we're also going to look at a Lowland Dugtrio once again. So this is almost the same thing. It's a little bit slower, 110 speed. It's still a good speed stat, but that 10 stat is actually put into its defense. It's got a 60 defense, which doesn't help it very much. That 35 HP is still too low to take hits. So I would honestly skip the Dugtrios, but if you need a fast Pokemon and you don't care about its frailty, go ahead and try it out. So the last Pokemon we're going to look at in this video is going to be Marowak. So Marowak is actually a decently defensive Pokemon. It's got 110 defense, and that's honestly its best stat. It's got 80 attack, which is not the best. 80 special defense, also not the best. It's a really slow Pokemon too with 45 speed. But honestly, yeah, I don't think this thing is going to be that good on your team. I would honestly skip this Marowak. It doesn't get that thick club item that really helps it out during the other games. But yeah, this thing's best stats, 110 defense, but I don't think that's going to be worthy of using this on your team. So that's all the rock types and the ground types within these games. Are you going to use either of these Pokemon? I do know they kind of tend towards on the physical sides. There's not really a good specially offensive Pokemon here, except Almastar, that's the only one, but honestly, you could honestly skip the rock or ground typing. More so the rock type, because the rock type's not really the best typing to put on a team. I do think the ground typing does have its perks though, so if you want to, go ahead and try it out, and I'll see you in the next Pokemon video.